A susu. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Giggle Sims, and welcome to a new series that I am calling 2-Pack Tuesday. It's basically where I take the base game, of course, and I spin a wheel to see which 2 packs I will get, and I only build using those packs, plus the base game. Just want to make that clear. I'm also using the base game. And in this one, I got Vintage Glamour and Country Kitchen. Now, Country Kitchen is the only kit I included. I entered all of the expansion game packs and stuff packs in the wheel. And I decided to also add Country Kitchen because it has a lot of interior items to use. But I didn't include any of the other kits because none of them really have any interior items aside from Bust the Dust, which has the vacuums. But I was like, I'm not going to add that one just for vacuums. But yeah. What an interesting combo. I really love this idea because I love the idea that, like, I don't even know what's going to happen. Like, I just have to build whatever it gives me. Like, it's all left up to chance, and I love that. And this one was interesting. I was like, Vintage Glamour and Country Kitchen. How am I going to mix glamour and country? Like, do I make Dolly Parton's house? I don't know. Actually, that would have been... Oh, man. Missed opportunity there. Okay, well, maybe next time. Isn't there, like, a Disney World for Dolly Parton? Like, Dolly World? Or they call it, like, Dollywood or something? I don't know. But that sounds like a place to go. That sounds like a fun place to go. Anyway, let's talk about the build. So I had to try to figure out, like, how do I combine Country Kitchen with Vintage Glamour? And I also, basically because it was a stuff pack and a kit, there's not like a whole lot that you get in those. So it was basically, I was like, how do I make this without it being mostly base game? Like, I made sure to use the items from those packs and not just make like a basic base game build, right? So I figured, okay, let's do a duplex, but like, let's do a Tudor duplex, right? So each side is the same, has the same floor plan, same layout, but they're different because we'll say like in my head, I thought, okay, each side is owned, like they buy either side, kind of like you would, if you lived in a city and you bought like a townhouse or something, like they own either side, right? So like whoever lives there owns their side. And so I was thinking, like, on one side, which is the side you see me building now, where I use the Country Kitchen stuff and a lot of the Vintage Glamour stuff. Like, the other side was mostly, like, base game stuff. I included a little bit of, like, Vintage Glamour, but on this side, I found that they actually went really well together when you use them as, like, a period pieces, right? So like the Country Kitchen stuff, it has those great like 50s, 40s style appliances. And then Vintage Glamour, vintage and like old kitchen stuff totally go together. So I used like the living room for that side, and I just kind of thought, okay, maybe it's the same lady who's lived here for like years, and she's taken really good care of it, and she's never changed a thing. Like maybe it was built in the 40s, right? And then she's just lived there forever. Like she's just always been a single lady, and now she's in her like, you know, I don't know, 80s or something. I don't know. Maybe she's old. she's an elder. And then I thought, yeah, she's just kept it really nice since the 40s. She's still got a lot of her old vintage furniture, and yeah. And then I decided on the other side, maybe it's a struggling single parent, like a single mom or a single dad. I kind of made it more for a single mom because I do include like a vanity upstairs with makeup on it. But I guess it could also be a couple. It could be like a couple and their toddler, but I included a lot of toddler stuff because I figured, yeah, it's just like a struggling parent or parents who live here. When I play tested it, I used a single mom, and she like worked 2 jobs, so she's just so busy, I figured, and like she has a lot of clutter laying around, and she has to put like the toddler's like clothing in the living room. Like she's got a dresser in the living room for the toddler's clothes and stuff like that. And that was my idea for that side. I also thought, okay, well, maybe this side was updated like in the 80s, but it hasn't been well cared for since. Like it hasn't been updated since, and the single mom obviously cannot afford to update it. You know, she's working as, well, in my play tested version, she's working as a waitress and a barista. She works as a barista in the morning, and she works as a waitress at night. And then I figured like the lady next door, the elderly lady next door, she comes over and babysits and watches the baby while she's working and stuff. I thought that was like a cute little dynamic. Like maybe it's her grandma. You know, like maybe that's actually her grandma, and her grandma owned both sides of the duplex and sold her the other one for like really cheap, and it's been just so nice for her to live there or whatever. But yeah, so that was my idea for each side, and I did realize that I forgot to include a toddler toilet. What do you call those? Toddler potty in the bathroom. So I did add that later on, and I play tested everything, so as always you'll see like, you know, minor little changes here and there when you go to like download it from the gallery, which you can, of course. You can always download my builds in the gallery under Giggle Sims. It's now Giggle Sims because I changed it. I finally changed my EA name. I thought for so long that I couldn't do it, and then I went in there and I was like, oh, I can do it. Wow, I just spent all this time trying to explain to people that my profile name, my gallery profile name was different than my name on YouTube. So now it is Giggle Sims. But my older builds, my like much older builds, like my bakery, which is the most popular video on my channel, that is in my old profile, because what happened was I had Sims 4 on one profile and Sims 3 on another profile, and I wanted them to just be together. Like I didn't want to have to go to my old profile. I couldn't even remember the password. I was like, why do I have 2 profiles, right? So I contacted I think it was Origin. It was either Origin or EA, and they like, it was really weird. They combined it for me, but they did it on the wrong profile. So basically I went back to my old profile, and so my bakery is technically on my profile that was newer, but they put me back on my old. I don't know. It was so weird. So my bakery build is on my old profile, Jewels of Jane. And also it was really weird because the guy who was like helping me, he was like weirdly like hitting on me kind of while he was doing it. And I was like, I had to like tell him a couple of times that he was being inappropriate. Yeah, I should have reported him. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, let's talk about the build. You may hear in my voice still that I am still a little sick. This stang, I swear, I definitely think it's COVID, because this is just, it's lasted so long. And I feel like mostly fine. It's just like mucusy and like I still have like a tiny bit of a cough. Anywho, let's talk about the build. I also used a lot of debug live edit objects in this build just because I wanted to keep it as cheap as possible. I still wanted to use like all the stuff I needed to use, like the vintage Glamour and country kitchen stuff. And obviously it's not going to be like a starter home, you know, because it's got two sides. It's a duplex. There's, you know, multiple people living here, multiple families living here. But I still wanted to keep it as cheap as possible because, I mean, if you're playing The Sims, do you really want to spend like 100,000 simoleons on a house with a tiny backyard? No. So I tried to keep it as cheap as possible. I think it still ends up being like, oh gosh, like 65,000 or something simoleons. And then I wanted to make like the grandma's side kind of more like she was a gardener. Excuse me. She was a gardener. Excuse me. That's the sickness for you. Anyway, so I wanted to make it kind of like she was a gardener, and she just kind of loved to lounge in her garden. She had that like, I gave her this like old flamingo lounge chair that you will see in a little bit here, but I just wanted to make it look like she really cares for her yard and stuff. Whereas on the other side, I put like a lot of long grass growing and stuff for the single mom who just doesn't have time. She just doesn't have time, you guys. She doesn't have time to take care of the yard and stuff. So like the grass is pretty patchy. It's not really growing very great anymore over there. You'll see once I do the terrain tool on here. Whereas the grandma's side is like a lot more, you know, immaculate and stuff. But I did give the single mom a sandbox in the back for her and the kid to play with. And when I play tested her, she had a little baby boy. So, yeah, so I just thought that was a good idea, you know, like I just wanted to make it really look like the single mom, she just doesn't have time, you know, she's working 2 jobs, she's really struggling, and most of the time she can't really afford to, you know, take care of anything, right? Whereas the elderly lady on the other side is, you know, way more established. She's not rich, but she's, you know, she takes care of her things, and she's retired, and maybe like she was married and he passed away or something and left her with, you know, with some kind of inheritance or something that he left her behind. So she's good in financially, but on the other side, the single mom is like really struggling. So much so that like she's like outgrowing her side of the townhouse, and that's why I put like I had them share the room upstairs. I almost thought about like turning the upstairs into a 2-bedroom, but it didn't really work that well with also trying to fit a double bed in there. So it didn't really make sense to me to do that. But yeah, I really do love how it turned out. I think it looks so good. Like, yeah, like see on the grandma's side, she's even got some stone there and some candles and a little lounge chair, which I thought looked cute. And yeah, she just really likes to take care of things, and I think it turned out pretty good. I love a Tudor. I just love a Tudor house. I think they're so cute. Anyway, the video is almost over, so make sure to download this in the gallery, Giggle Sims, and I will see you in the next one.